Okay, I want the world to become super intelligent. I don't want them to become super intelligent using artificial intelligence, but I do want them to become capable of teaching themselves. I'm going to talk today about a philosophy on how to study using YouTube. And I've been thinking about this for years in a way. And there's all sorts of different skills to learn, and everybody learns in a different way. They're going to tell you some are visual, some are whatever, but the goal is we have to apply ourselves, and there's some certain things that we need to do. Okay. Learning is enmeshed with a bunch of skills, okay? It's not just one thing. You've got all these different tools in a way. So a smartphone, or a dumb phone as I would call it, is a tool. I actually have 2 laptops, okay? I'm a perpetual learner. Okay, but I could have other subjects that I could talk about similar to this, like how to use bookmarks on Chrome, or, how to use how to download YouTube videos so you don't have the ads to deal with. Buying books for education. Okay, but there's some minimum skills that you need on a computer. And I highly recommend that people use especially if you're going to be a global citizen, you want to use a PC computer because they actually have them in all countries, okay? You're not going to be able to deal with your Apple products, okay? But, you can, it's just going to cost you 10 times as much. But there's minimum skills like how to highlight something, copy and paste, hit Control-C, Control-X, Control-V. Copy and paste is a very critical thing. And what people are not doing, and the reason why they're getting hacked, is they're not monitoring their URL. The URL is like the domain name. So you see youtube.com, that's the URL. These things switch on people and they don't even realize they're off the website they're planning on. They're getting ran around because they're not monitoring the URL. And you can't do this very well monitoring on a smartphone, aka dumb phone. Okay. In my opinion, the goal of a teacher is to explain to somebody how to teach themselves, okay? It's not to teach them, it's to instruct them on how to learn a specific subject. Today I'm going to talk about one specific topic. I'm only going to talk about one extremely narrow subject, but maybe the best one to learn is how to learn. Okay, that would be the best one. How to learn would be the study of how to learn would be the best thing. Okay, but today I'm going to talk about how I would start researching residential building engineer. Okay, I did a search on Google or whatever, or maybe I did it on ChatGPT. I'm using ChatGPT probably about 10 times more than I'm using, 30 times more than I'm using Google now, because it really goes out there. Perplexity. Perplexity actually will give you links. But I use these 2 AI things. But I'm going to talk about how I would research residential building engineer. Okay, an engineer, you got different types of engineers. And I'm wanting to build some tiny homes, okay? And because I want to build some tiny homes, they need to be engineered correctly. Now, what does that mean? I'm not sure I really understand the term engineer, other than when we engineer something, we make it work and its utility value and whatever. But there's all sorts of things like ergonomics and whatever, and how we use the things. But at the end of the day, a well-designed house is intuitively easy to use, okay? But I want to teach you how I, as Andy Lee Graham, study subjects. And I have hundreds and hundreds of subjects that I am studying continually. If you go to my YouTube channel, and you'll see that underneath, you go to the main channel, and at the bottom of it, it's almost impossible to get to these things on a dumb phone. But I have like 10 channels, and these are maybe what you might call my passions. Okay, and like Somerset Maugham said, love without passion is not love. Okay, love requires passion, and really, if you never want to work a day in your life, you ought to fall in love with what you're doing. Okay, I highly recommend that people get a job, work at it for 30 years, and, stay at it till the day they die. Okay, that seems to be the best way to have a happy life. Um, but this could be about any subject. I'm just going to talk about residential engineering or building engineering. They made this up. Okay, I'll read off some of the things that I wrote this morning. We are lucky sperms who don't need teachers to become super intelligent on specific topics. One can sit in a one room, $7 a month. You can rent a room in Africa for $7 a month in sub-Saharan Africa and learn to a genius level. It is now possible in almost any country to self-educate. Okay, but I'm going to be a little snarky. The fact that a university student graduates without knowing the word pedagogy, autodidact, and the art of something. The art of is proof that we have teachers that have not learned the art of teaching. Okay, pedagogy, I'm probably saying it wrong. Pedagogy is the study of how to teach, or which is also in a way the study of how to learn. Okay, you got to know both ends of the coin, right? How to teach and how to learn. An autodidact is a self-taught person. So these are the technical terms, but you can say self-taught person, or we could just say the term teach, the art of learning, the art of teaching, okay? And the art of, when they say the term art of, it means essentially that it's not a clear-cut factual science. It's really a nebulous thing, and it's a combination of enmeshment of a whole bunch of things. Learning is really a skill that we can learn. But what do universities do? They make you pay to get a diploma. Truly self-intelligence is study about pulling a thread that unravels in an infinite large shirt. So you're unraveling this shirt. That's intelligence. And if people think that they're actually finished learning something, they should have learned in university that learning is an ongoing process. The worst thing you can have is an employee that doesn't continually have curiosity and learn. I often drop things, like I just was in the library and I dropped to the lady that I've been to 114 countries. Didn't prompt the question, didn't do it. It went right over. But from a geography point of view, this is a spectacular. I went to Prairie Heights High School, and I asked Penny to go down and tell the geography teacher, that I've been to 114 countries. And the teacher come running, okay, because anybody that's been to 114 countries has a very good grasp of the geopolitical geography of the planet, okay. Truly super study is pulling on a thread. So we're always pulling on these threads, and then it unravels, okay. Intelligence of a person is the person that never stops having the curious tug on that thread. Graduation from university is merely paying to say you completed something, with little to do about the art of learning. I was talking to a guy one time, I don't know where I was at. He was from this place, Cork or something, Scotland or Ireland. I think it's Ireland. And what he did, he was getting paid like $50,000 to write these PHP papers for these Saudi Arabian people. People actually pay to have their PhD papers written. I'm the PhD of travel. Philosophy, Henry David, travel. I'm a PhD level. I got my 10,000 hours in on a few subjects. But graduation is buying a thing. And I truly don't think that a person should have to graduate from university to prove they're intelligent. I was talking to somebody the other day, and my nephew didn't agree with me, but I believe you should be able to take a series of tests to prove that you, just like a GRE, graduate, the thing they have to say you graduated from high school. You should be able to take a test and test out of classes. We shouldn't have to force people to go to classes to study what they already know, because classes is book learning and application's another thing. You really if you got it in your brain and you got it down to recall memory, not just recognition memory, not multiple choice, but actual recall memory. That's what, when you learn a language, it's recall memory. It's not recognition. It's not choose the A, B, C, D. That's just recognition. But we pay to get it. We pay to get a piece of paper. There's a movie called The Paper Chase where they were going to Harvard. But Harvard and a lot of these universities are just becoming very wealthy because every university professor is, in my opinion, highly overpaid for the lack of skills. But if they don't ever use the word pedagogy, autodidact, the art of, when they're teaching you, because they're not really understanding the goal of teaching. The goal of teaching is to teach you how to teach yourself, okay? Because that's what real life is. Real life is teaching yourself. It is not thing. So we get put in a job, and you're basically on the job training, and what's a business degree get you? A sales job for IBM or something like that. Okay. Pedagogy is the method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. Pedagogy. An autodidact is a person who learns a subject or skill independently without the formal guidance of teachers or structural education programs. Okay, my opinion on how to have a perfect class, and they can have the perfect teacher right now, absolutely perfect teacher. And guess what? Copyright doesn't apply. If you download a YouTube video and you show it to a class, education material has no copyright, okay? I better double check on that. But the best way to have a class, say it's a 45-minute class, would be to have a 20-minute video with the best charismatic, entertaining, captivating teacher there is in the United States or whatever country you're in, or whatever language you are. Yo hablo español, je parle français. You want that person to be charismatic. Okay, you watch that YouTube video. I don't care, Rumble, any of these systems, right? You can even use that Can thing, or King Khan or whatever, King Kong. There's a bunch of educational things, study.com, whatever. But the point is this, there's videos that you can show to the class. Okay, and what's the value of that? Then after you're done, you have a discussion on it. And one thing it could do, it would say, you don't have to take notes while it's on, because you can go back and watch it again and take notes a second time. And then it would level out the playing field instead of being a great person at taking notes. Like I never took notes at all in class, ever. I'm a very, very small notes, maybe on an index card. I didn't take notes in university. I said, most of the teachers, especially psychology, or all the book classes, they just were teaching you about the book. So I just would go, what I would do to study, I would go outline the book. But that's how you learn. You got senses, okay? The art of learning. It's not that easy. Everybody's different. Some of us are naturals. Like if you get me near a mechanical machine, or I watch somebody doing construction work or whatever, I can just watch it one time. Boom, goes into my brain. But teaching is a requirement that the student never becomes smarter than the teacher. Or the teachers could lose their jobs. And they're not going to admit this, but it's a self-sabotaging part of Darwin that we really don't want people to become smarter than us. I see this all the time in Africa. The teachers will not educate the smart students. You got these guilds over there where they got welding classes and generators, how to rebuild generators and stuff, and different things. They got guilds where you got like 10 girls sewing or whatever, and you got 10 welders, you got 10 whatever. And the person these guys work for free for 2 or 3 years, and they never teach them all the skills. They keep the specific skills away from certain people in the thing so that they cannot become competition with them. It's the same thing mentally for things. We don't really want somebody to be smarter than us. We are in a constant one-upmanship to try to prove to the other people we're smarter. That's the reason why a YouTube video would be a great way. I was laughing just the other day. I learned a saying from a doctor friend. I got a good friend. I traveled with a doctor. And there's one profession or one art or one type of thing where you really got to know what you're doing. Okay, you can't just put in your time. To be a surgeon, if you want to be a surgeon and you're going to cut up somebody, you got to know the exact process of how to do it, step by step by step by step. You got to know all the ins and outs. You got to really know it. And so he was saying there's a saying for surgery: see one, do one, teach one. So when I'm trying to learn something, I instantly start writing a book and creating. I make a database, and then I start writing a book. I create some Google Docs, and I start writing a book, okay? And I want everybody to start writing a book on any subject that they want to be an expert at, okay? And it's not easy to write a book. Why is it not easy to write a book? Because it's not going to be organized when you start. But you got to see how it's done, and that's watching it on YouTube. Do it. You actually do one, and then you teach it. Teaching is when you're really good at something. This is about the process. To learn something, we must start writing a book on every subject to engage the mind. That gets the mind working. Okay, you can't really learn unless you turn on the switch. You got to engage the mind, because we can teach a subject. We can't teach a subject we don't really know. We can only have an awareness knowledge. And that's what most degrees are, is awareness knowledge, not an actual recall. I can teach this subject. But the experts can teach the subject. But a college professor can never really be an expert on certain things if they don't go into the application. So I'm really happy that David Sinclair, this guy in longevity, actually has some business investments where he's taking his longevity stuff and doing it. Because if they don't have actual hands-on, see, knowledge doesn't mean anything until you use it. It's a utility value thing. It's basically just being an intellectual. An intellectual is a nothing, okay? It means you just can talk. You're very good at cocktail parties, right? We only have an awareness. But information comes through the 5 senses. The more the emotions and senses involved, the quicker we learn. I learned Spanish and French. I remember when I really started speaking in Spanish, I was with this Argentina girl. She's a college professor teaching biology in Rio Gallegos, Argentina. Okay, and they say the double L different down there than they do in Rio Gallegos or Medellin. And they say different. The double L has a pronounced like yeah. Okay, but what was happening was we'd get an argument, and the girl was so argumentative. I learned later that her father used to hit her, and I go, oh, this is the thing. The only way you feel loved is if you get hit. I never hit her. I was always laughing, but her name was Andrea. She was really a beautiful girl, really nice. We traveled in Brazil together. But I met her in Maceió. We flew into Maceió together. But we get in an argument. When you get in an argument over a word, you definitely learn. When you're arguing in Spanish, you learn the language really good. This is kind of the value of immersion. So the best teacher you could ever have is a girlfriend or boyfriend. That's the best immersion. We call it a sleeping dictionary. Okay, but to do what I'm doing today, you've got to do things. The best way to learn using YouTube as your teacher, as your professor, your mentor, whatever, is to start a YouTube channel. And this is really easy if you got a Gmail. I don't use my Gmail as my primary email. My primary email is hoboontheroad@yahoo.com. And I'm not going to switch that. It's like changing my business address. I've been using this thing for, 14, 15 years at least. I have Gmail's accounts so that I can access Google Docs and Google Sheets. And I wish there were some alternatives that were just as good. But Google's ruling the world right now. But to start, if you have a Gmail, you already have a YouTube channel. You just don't realize it. Okay, But then I want you to collect YouTube videos, okay? Because we've got to get the 5 senses and your emotions into it. So you got to start the compilation of knowledge, because knowledge has no value unless you can retrieve it, okay? Knowledge has almost zero value unless you have a system to retrieve it. And you can't just say, chat GPT it, because that isn't really you knowing the knowledge. So I want you to write a book, and I want you to make YouTube videos. Okay, but you got to take notes on the videos. Okay, a lot of times when I'm watching movies or something and I want to know the actors, I mean, some people are just naturals at that. They idolize actresses and people so much that they can tell you all the actresses, and I can't even remember. I'm always trying to remember the guy that played in the TV show Elementary. He married Angeline Jolie, whatever. Okay, but I forget his name. But he's a brilliant actor in the television show Elementary. And a lot of the skill sets I'm talking about today, he's got this one thing where he puts things up on the wall to make them visual. And when you're in McDonald's and they got that flashing thing, or Taco Bell or whatever, that's to take your brain and confuse it, so you have to make a spontaneous decision and not a rational decision. That's why they do that. It's a marketing technique. But if you had a class and it was taught by a YouTube channel, and the student could go home that, say, had trouble hearing or seeing or whatever, could watch that video 16 times, right? Until they knew everything. So every single person in the class would not be judged on their listening skills and their note-taking skills. That's not a good way to judge somebody's brain. I mean, some people cannot, the minute they target fixate on writing a note, they're not listening, right? So it's kind of ridiculous the way we learn. But we have a new world right now. So you start a YouTube channel, but you're going to take notes on the video, and you're going to start writing a book. So you got a Google Docs. I want you to use Google Docs. I'd highly recommend using Google Docs because it's going to be online, and you can share it with people. You can have a proofreader come on it, and you can do all stuff, and you can actually share that book. Right. My proofreader is in London. Andrew, this guy, Andrew H., I won't say his name. He's in London. Okay, and this guy can get on my Google Docs, and we can put it on, we can work, and I can upload it to, I've written 5 books. Let's see, what is it? Ingram Spark. Okay, Ingram Spark is, you can actually publish a book for free, but you do have to buy the barcode. And they have an what you see, what you get system now, where you can actually paste it. You give the proofreader, so the proofreading is the most expensive, but Chat GPT now could be a proofreader, and you can use Grammarly. So I use a combination of Grammarly and Chat GPT, but that's not what you want. You want a human to also talk about it with your video. So really, this is one of the biggest parts of why you need 20 minutes of video and a discussion, because that discussion gets you emotionally involved in the subject and all the controversies and all the nuances. You can have a discussion. So really, a teacher should be a moderator of a discussion instead of trying to be a teacher. That is, you got really good teachers. A Harvard teacher could be teaching a class. I've been watching some movies from this Harvard teacher that's teaching about Henry David Thoreau. And I'm not going to say he's the best teacher, but, I can watch a Harvard teacher. Doesn't mean anything. There's a better teacher, okay? You have really good teachers, and we could have the same class on residential engineering. I'm going to get to this, how to be an engineer. I'm going to show you actually what I do by showing you the screen, okay? So just bear with me. So what happens is you got to take notes on the thing, so you write the book. You got to take teleprompter notes so that when you give my computer is doing crazy stuff. You got to take teleprompter notes. You got to write notes that you can make a video with, okay? Then you got to organize them. Then you start writing a book. Please understand, you got to be brave enough to be stupid. Jordan Peterson gives a video where he explains that the fool And the ability to be a fool is part of super intelligence, okay? Because if you're not willing to expose yourself, whatever. There's a guy in the University of Chicago writing, I really love this. He talks about when you're a college professor, whatever, writing or teaching is a way of thinking. So writing a journal, writing a book, writing a thing is part of the process of taking your subconscious mind and putting it into words, because everything's scrambled thing. I call it the gobbledygook thing. But when you're the big problem with people learning any subjects is they do an imbalance. They do just one subject. So they want to learn about Donald Trump, and they don't ever learn anything about Joe Biden. So education should be a balance of both subjects, especially if you're going to do certain art of subjects, pros and cons. And it's, it's pretty factual on this residential engineering, but you can see there's all different theories on certain things. But in a way, there's a kind of an oppositional learning. You learn best when there's a pros and cons, a yin and the yang, the opposite, right? So there's like two ways to do everything, multiple ways to do anything. Okay, so the residential building engineer. I'm now going to turn on the camera onto my computer screen and try to show you what I'm doing as I do it. Hold on. Okay, so I already have a YouTube channel on what I call tiny homes or something like that, or luxury tiny homes. I'm not sure exactly. So I'm going to go to the YouTube channel. I'm not going to specifically tell you how to make a YouTube channel, but you can watch a lot of videos on YouTube on how to do this. So I'm on my biohacking channel, and I got to switch channels. Okay, hope the internet's fast enough to do this. Well, I learned something about my computer. I've had this thing for about 1.5 years, but I didn't know that it didn't have an Ethernet port. That's not good, but it's only $225 for this. So I'm switching. I got some channels I got. It's how to communicate, inventions, stop cancer with a shower, short homes, strategies and negotiations, Andy, a global citizen, which is the one you're on right now, shorts of business, short travel tips, which is I put a lot up on there, and I collect a lot of databases for shorts on biohacking. But let's get down to this tiny home one. It's got this little link. So in my tiny homes, I'm not trying to make a shit for britches, whatever. I'm trying to make a stick-built house that's as luxurious as a house that you live in right now. I would never live in a container, like a semi-container. So I'm on this channel, and what happens is, so I got to go up here, and I got to say residential engineer. Okay. And what's going to happen here, you got to organize this stuff. And it's really painful for a structural engineer. So just say we're going to make many different things. But what happens is you start watching this video. Oh, it's really big. Give me the default. And over here on the bottom,
guys, we're back with an episode of Site Visit here in Needham.
You can see right here in the thing, there's 3 little dots. Sometimes that doesn't exist, and you have to make it bigger or littler by hitting Control plus or Control minus until you see the 3 little dots. Sometimes they don't let you share it if it's for children. I have no idea why they'd never. Of all the people that should be able to embed a video, it should be for children. But this is about structural engineer walkthrough of custom residential. So say we want to make a YouTube channel on structural engineer. Now see, that's a pretty ambiguous thing. It's not just residential, right? So we're going to save that. I normally hit save, create new playlist. I put the word playlist in front of it so people will recognize that they landed on a playlist. playlist, structural engineer. I make it public, and then I hit Control A to that selects all. Control A selects all. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to create. So I'm watching a video on structural engineering. Now the problem here is YouTube totally is about making money, and it's not really good on helping you to stay organized. It's horrible. So what I do is I go over, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I have there's many ways I do this, but I got a tiny homes Google Sheets. These are all online. If I lose my computer, I don't lose anything. So tiny house database. As you can see, this is pretty small, right? So you're going to have trouble doing it. And then what I do is I've got these databases that I can sort. The value of a database is sorting, okay? And you can keep organized. So I can insert one row, and then I paste the topic, structural engineer, and then I go back and I got to go, it's kind of complicated. They don't make this real easy. They don't really want you to do this. They want you to click on advertising. Okay, so I go back to the main channel. I go to the, come on, it's really slow. The wall tent part 2, that's kind of interesting. So I go to view my channel. And then what happens is I hit on playlist. Now I got the full playlist. So I can start collecting things under this playlist. And then I got to go to this, you see that little arrow thing? That'll give you a link. So I'll go over here and then I'll paste it over here. I'm making this a little faster than thing, but I have different playlists and it has to be under subject. So calculators for construction, camera, I got all these topics here that I want to address. So I'm going to make an ongoing database that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger on how to do things like the Pythagorean theory. You know why the Pythagorean theory is important for a house? It's how you can make the calculations to make something square. But I have now in this thing a database. I've started coupling a database up with it. So I can, if I want to go find this, I can just go to this database, because when you have hundreds of channels, I have a macro where I add my phone number. I hit Control P, which I program this. Oh shoot, I'm on the wrong computer. Oops, I got 2 computers. This is one for watching videos or going to the library. It doesn't have the macros running in the proper way yet. Okay, but see, you can see I got one topic. But what you're going to do is you're going to see that this structural engineer, we did a search for residential engineer, right? And what came up was structural engineer, right? Hey, what the hell, right? Guess what? Words have many meanings, right? So the problem here is if I search for structural residential engineer, did you mean residential engineer? I must have spelled that wrong. Yeah. Matt's structural engineering. Okay, structural engineering. So we got these. So I can sit here and watch these, collect them. And what's the value here? I can pick out the best of the best if I want to, or I can just collect them all.
And today we're going to be addressing a structural walkthrough. So we're going to walk
through this is probably the one I was just on.
And walk through the basement,
yeah,
all of the first floor, second floor framing, and the roof framing. And to do that, I got Ren's.
Let's go down a ways. Load bearing, wall bearing, structural engineering. So I'm going to go here, but I'm going to show you a sort feature. And what am I doing? I'm teaching you the process of learning on how I collect data and how I got it so I can retrieve it, right? And I've got a sort feature, alphabetical sorting. And what you're going to find
This is
out,
going to be the first of a few videos I'm going to make on load-bearing and non-bearing walls.
okay, you can do it. Give me, save, I'm going to save it to structural engineering. Create new playlist. So now if we go back to the, oh, I did the wrong thing there. I want to save it. Let's see if it did it. So there's two right now, two videos in this list. Didn't do it right yet. So if I save this, I do this a lot for music too. Some of you would really like to be able to do this for music, and you can play it. Now I got two different videos, and if I wanted to study this or teach it or share it with somebody, I could give the link to somebody and share it with them, or I can just say play all, and I could watch all these videos in sequence.
Guys, we're back with
But
an episode of Site Visit here in Needham.
The big deal is sometimes there's different ways to understand the value. See, this isn't true, but you can sort these videos any way you want. But you can move this one up to say this is the most important one, or you can sometimes do a sort where you just say the most popular. Sometimes on some subjects, the most popular is the best video. Not truly, because you're basically punishing you're punishing the college professor that's boring, right? That's not, Google is all about charisma. It's not about geniuses. So you have all these skill sets. So what I'm trying to explain here is you can take notes, but you're going to become confused. You're going to watch these things. You're going to become confused, but the confusion is good for you. It's an emotional response to what you're doing. So what will happen here, see, you'll get confused, and then you'll start seeing patterns. And once you see patterns, you start organizing, and that is what a book is. A book is like 225 pages of organized chapters, maybe 25 chapters with a synopsis, and basically you can write it. So a nonfiction book is incredibly simple to write because it's just a collection of 25 major themes or 50 major themes, then made into little topics below it. But you'll continually slice and dice and reorganize. A genius has many variables to control. So what does a genius do? A genius is a person that stays organized without the need of the computer. But you can actually be a genius level of knowledge and awareness if you can recall it at the same level, okay? But the actual thing that makes the difference between just a very knowledgeable person, eidetic memory or photographic memory, like Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory, is the ability to processing. Like he didn't understand, sarcasm. He was very good at certain things, but very bad at other things. Just because you can remember something doesn't mean you can use that term. In the movie The Paper Chase, we had this guy that was a photographic memory, but he couldn't apply the law into a variable situation. Okay, if a person does not care, then one thing if they care. Okay, when you make a video, a person that doesn't care wants a 1 minute video. A person that truly cares wants hours of videos, the longer the video. So I'll watch hours on how to solve my sciatica, how to solve my hip. I got a problem with my hips right now. I better turn this on a different way. Okay, when you're making a video, if you can't see it running and it's recording, you can talk for an hour and it's not recording. I don't like these headsets, and I don't like any kind of speaker system because one little bad connection and you're doing this over and over again. Okay, you got to start the book. Then you start the business. You start the book, then you start the business. You start the book, you write the book, you make the videos, you start the business. If you have no desire to start the business, in a way, I'm not sure what you're doing on a certain level, but starting a business is putting your words into practice. Okay, so very good thing, but I truly recommend that everybody start a business with 2 or 3 people. Why? Well, it's pretty easy. The synergy is a word that means when you have 2 people, you really become 3 people. The synergy of 2 people working together, it creates a mastermind alliance. Which book was that? Think and Grow Rich, or which, I don't know. But the point is this, is that you really want to create a mastermind alliance. I once gave a lecture to a class at Midland, Michigan, a high school class. And I'd started 2 businesses at that time. And I started a business when I was 21, and I was running a business up in Midland, Michigan. And I said that one student very astutely asked, Andy, how do you start a business? And I said, you start it. And he says, you start doing the things that does the business. He says, but I don't have any money. And I said, well, money has a strange thing. Okay, one question an investor wants to ask you, if you want to find out if a person is really into a business, you want to know that they're going to eat, live, and die with that business. So you ask them the question, what are you going to do if I don't give you this $10,000, this $100,000? He goes, if the person says, well, I won't be able to start the business, you don't give them the money, okay? Why? Because what you want is a person that's going to start the business come hell or high water. Okay, the teacher got really mad at me, and I said, ding-a-ling teacher thinks he knows how to start a business. He's got a wage slave, and he's trying to tell me how to start a business. I said, money comes to a person that they know they cannot stop, okay, that is going to consistently, persistently, continuously go at it. You want somebody obsessed. Love without passion is not love. Okay, so what you want is the business to be the ever enveloping thing. Like if you go to my, I'll show you. If you go to my, let's see if I'll just show you. It's easier. If you go to my, I wonder if that'll switch. So if I switch channels and I go to my biohacking channel, hit on the little thing at the right-hand side. It's going to give you a pull down that says switch account. I go to that kind of red thing. It's supposed to be the Leonardo da Vinci perfect symmetric of a person, right? And then short biohacking. I'm only putting shorts on here. I don't really make many videos on it. All I'm doing is collecting data for the most part. But I have a database that goes with this that is over here under Start, Databases, Data Sheets, Database, Playlist,
This
YouTube.
is going to be the first of a few videos I'm going to make on load-bearing and non-bearing walls. Seems like some people out there are having a problem trying to figure out what I actually...
Okay, so if I go to my channel, what you can see is this is a highly developed channel. Okay, so I got playlists. And what YouTube does to really screw with your head is they don't let you sort these that easily. They just, I think, just in the last 3 weeks, put it so I could sort them alphabetically. Okay, so I have these playlists and I have these subjects. So I got playlist thyroid, and it's constantly playing games. So I got all these topics, okay? These are all playlists. These are just like I created for the tiny thing. And I've got hundreds of them. But if I go to my database on biohacking, you'll see that I got the channel name at the top. And then down at the bottom, I've got all the playlists. And I'm trying to make this complete. So what you can do is you can choose a topic like berries or detoxing your body or asparagus, back pain. You can choose different topics and then you can go to the thing. And this is all public and people can click on, say, let's go. I'm having a problem with burping. So I was making one up here. not burping. I've got supragastric. So I got the link and you go to it. And I've got all these videos underneath it. And so say I need to get a warm up, I can just go back and play it again. If I want to share it, okay. Okay, so you're writing a book, you're making a teleprompter thing, you're starting to make YouTube videos. You don't even have to publish them. It's the process of making the video, recording the process that's the teaching for you to become a teacher. So you watch it, you share in it, and then you teach it. But you can teach it to yourself, and that's part of the process. It doesn't have to be. A lot of people think that I'm making videos for you. I'm making videos for me because I love knowledge. And the only way for me to recall, not just recognize, not just be aware of something, is to be able to teach it. So by talking about these videos on the process, the pedagogy, the autodidact, I become a better expert. But you got, see what, I'm a travel expert, right? I'm a real estate expert, I'm an internet expert, I'm probably really in a lot of ways a medical expert. I mean, I've got, I don't know, three or 400 of these YouTube channels on biohacking, on medical. Okay, and you can go to the topic like, cancer, you can go to dementia. Got a lot of stuff on dementia because everybody my age is older than me because they are getting so old, and you're going, will you do anything? I really want them to get some blood to their brain by going on gravity. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham, and this is my process. And I'm sure I lost 90% of you in the first 10 minutes, which is good. You want to lose people in the first 10 minutes because they don't really care about me or them or learning. Now, if I wanted to be a rich person, I would have to be very charismatic and personality and whatever, or pay somebody to do one of them draw boards things and pay somebody to do the talking. Academy of Ideas is one of these channels. I got this one on philosophy, and they're really organized, okay, and they're really good, and sometimes you really want to do that. On the other side is, I'll guarantee that YouTube will eventually put almost everybody out of business because they want you to pay that $7 a month to get rid of the ads. And that's what makes it capable of monetizing. I have a Patreon. That's one way that you can help me. I don't have advertisement. I have a monetized website, but I don't put the ads on there because it's just too annoying for the amount of money that I get. I may get 1 penny a click just to annoy you. So if I care about you, I don't use these things. Okay, and there's no way, advertisement is not caring about the person, it's trying to make money off the person. I don't want to use you as a person to make money off of. I want friends. I'm 65 plus years. I've been to 114 countries, and I've done this for 26 years. I'm living in a tent right now. Why? Because Henry David Thoreau lived in a cabin that was about the same size as my tent. Okay, life is good, and if you want to become a Patreon, you want to talk about any of these subjects, I did make a desire. I'm thinking I'm only going to go live on Sunday nights if people request I go live, and then we can have a specific topic to go with it because I'm not getting enough interplay between people. I'm not sure. You really, what you find out is you may have 100 supporters in your life, but only 5 of them actually want to talk to you. It's kind of interesting because a lot of people have very good will, but never seem to have enough time. I really want people to be my friend and think, because how do I learn? If I wanted to learn about tiny houses, I would be talking about tiny houses with everybody on the thing. If all the builders, what I remember, I was on the industrial realtors meeting at the Chamber of Commerce, and it was like where I used to call it the cannibals meeting because these guys would eat each other. You couldn't get one of them to tell a straight word. I did. I told the truth. But their job was disinformation, trying to screw everybody over. And we talked in a very general way, and it was very humorous, okay? Because we did learn some things, but for the most part, they did everything but tell the truth. Because how do you know an industrial realtor is lying? His mouth's moving, okay? How do you know that 90% of real estate agents are lying? Their mouth is moving, okay? 95% of people will say anything and do anything for money. And that's the reason why I'm talking about the philosophy of anymore. Because I want you to realize, to me, the love of wisdom, the love of the truth, the search for the truth is what a philosopher is, okay? You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a teacher. You just have to have an undying desire for the truth and have no toleration for white lies and variances of the truth. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Become a Patreon and we can have a good time together. Life is good. Gonna learn a lot about tense here for the next month and a half.